it's Wendy Conrad. I feel like a DJ. Wendy Conrad, Work Culture Developer, Certified Chief Happiness Officer, and founder of Your Happy Workplace. And today, super excited from the other coast. We're having Zoha from the Ownership Method. We're going to be talking about hustle culture, self-care for business leaders and individuals also. Today, I feel a little bit like the librarian from a ZZ Top video, maybe? I don't know. But today, we're going to be talking to Zoha from the Ownership Method. Sorry, Zoha. She is a values-based business coach. She works with creative entrepreneurs to help them ditch the overwhelm. I'm getting here she comes. Drum roll, please. Waiting for the Ownership Method. Hi. Hi. I was just playing the hustle song, so.
Oh, nice.
To intro us.
Me groove a little bit.
Coast to coast, represent. East Coast, West Coast.
What up?
So excited, Zoha, to have you on. I was just introing you, values-based business coach, killing the hustle, one client at a time. I love that. You help creative entrepreneurs ditch the overwhelm, take action, and own their success. Mm-hmm. Yes! Mm-hmm. I want to put a cape on after reading that.
Yeah! That's what I like.
And we're going to talk about the planning workshop at the end.
Oh, awesome.
But
yes.
Is there anything else you want people to know about what you do and who you serve?
Yeah, I work mainly with coaches and other service-based business owners. And really, my work is all about helping them create an anti-hustle, pro-human plan for growth.
Yeah.
Because success doesn't only have to look one way. And I think that's so important, especially as we're talking about, killing the hustle and about how toxic the hustle can be. I want to stress that success doesn't only have to look one way.
Yes, we're going to talk all about that. I feel like we could talk about that for days. But
oh, yes.
So what kind of inspired me to invite you to come on today was a video that you had in your Instagram feed where you were talking about the message of rest and the idea of shaming people into complete shutdown, which is kind of the opposite end of the pendulum. Yeah. And like you just said, success is not a one way. Rest is also not a one size fits all. And self-care is so important. Self-care, the big buzz thing, but it means something different for everybody. There's no shoulds. And I love in the video when you say and but also. I think that's my new favorite phrase.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this year really has been the year of the and in a lot of ways. And but also, I just keep coming back to this idea that there's so many different ways to be successful at any given thing, and rest is one of those things too. And I think like what we are seeing, like this sort of like shaming people into the complete shutdown mode, it's almost like the opposite of what we saw in March when the pandemic hit, and it was like,
learn a new language, start a business.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like that time had its own pendulum swings, because first it was like, no, nobody sell anything. It's bad. If you're selling anything, if you're offering your services, you're bad. And I thought that was bullshit. And then it swung in the opposite direction, where it was like, okay, well, you're at home all the time. So like you just say, you can learn a new language, or start a new workout plan, get on that diet, start crocheting, like fix your marriage, like do all of the things right now. So it's like, yes, because, okay.
Do all the things.
Okay. Like, so we had this huge pendulum swing then, and then now we're coming to the end of this year and everybody's shouting about how shitty 2020 was, and like, yeah, it sucked balls, it was so bad. And but also right, like there's so many things that we have, yes, and but also so many things that we have learned. And one of the main things that I think has kind of come out of this is the fact that, yes, we're in this together, but we're all experiencing it differently. So you have to kind of be attuned to what you need right now. And also, to the flip side of that, just that thing of like learning to have the rest built in so that it's not like everything comes to a screeching halt if you take a nap. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
where it's like either or.
Yeah,
where it's built
exactly.
into the routine. And I want to talk about that in a minute too. But
Yes.
I love everything that you just said, especially so. And I have that. I'm coming as a maturing woman, stepping into myself. I think part of the problem is that people, and I hate to say it this way, but a lot of times people don't want to think for themselves. They want to be told what to do. And so if they don't see it as, so if they see people out there hustling, hustle culture is a thing to do. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Oh, self-care, I got to rest. I got to shut down. That's what I'm supposed to do now. Let me do that now. Instead of listening to who they are and what they need, even if they don't see that as an example out there, listen to that voice. Because everybody
my armpits
out
are getting so sweaty right now as you're saying this. Oh my gosh, I'm getting really worked up. Yes.
And I'm kind of learning that for myself, where people are out there saying, oh, you should do this with your business, and this is the only way to succeed, and this is how you got to do all the things, and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm at the point where I'm saying, fuck that. I don't want to do that. I'm going to do it my way.
Yes.
And sometimes there's still like that little voice in my head that says, you're being really bratty. These people know what they're talking about, which is sometimes can be true, but it's learning to listen to our own inner voice and accept that as
100%.
what we need to be doing. So
100%.
Talk a little bit about the idea of hustle culture and how it relates to overcompensating for the not enoughness.
Ooh, Lord. Yeah. Okay.
Let's get into it.
Yes. Okay. So hustle culture is, first of all, it's bullshit, and it's made up, and it's dumb, and it's stupid. And the main thing here about that not enoughness is that it's basically robbing you of the idea that you know what's best for you. It's stripping you of your autonomy, and it's making you, it makes you question everything about yourself. Like any sort of like quirks that you might have that are probably gifts, you're going to start thinking, oh, that stuff makes me weird, or it makes me broken. It makes it so I don't fit in. I need to change that. So like you end up trying to break yourself to fit into this mold. And the more that you sort of like try to break yourself or contort yourself into an unnatural shape, the less you end up trusting yourself. Because honestly, I think every little time that you make a decision that goes against who you are at your core, it's a little bit of self-betrayal, and a little more and a little more and a little more. So then you almost can get into this space where you don't even trust that you can trust yourself, because you've been bending yourself out of shape to like fit into somebody else's box, all thanks to all of this noise that comes at us all the time about how we need to be building our businesses, how much we need to be working, how hard we need to be working. That lack of rest thing is like a badge of honor. And you wrote a little bit about this in your latest article for Thrive Global, which I thought was fabulous. Aside from the fact that I was quoted in it, yes. Aside from the fact that I was quoted in it, even if I didn't like pop up
link
in
in
it
bio.
even once, click.
Link in bio.
I feel like you hit the nail on the head with stuff like the kind of the glorification of it. And that glorification is what causes us to be like, oh, well, if it's a good thing, let me break myself to fit into that good thing so that then I can be perceived as good enough
Yeah. It's
to.
almost like martyring ourselves in a
It
way.
is. It is. And it's just so icky on so many levels, and it makes me very, very sad. And I tried to do it for a very long time, both in my corporate career and then when I started building my business. Like at the very, very beginning, it was just sort of like, let me try and do what I see other people succeeding with, or what I'm being told is the only way that I'm going to succeed. So, and it hurts. It hurts. It hurts me personally, and it hurts me to see in other people too.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me what your thoughts are about why you think so many of us are buying into the hustle
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah. First of all, I think it has sort of been built into a lot of our systems. And this is kind of where like the underlying like racist patriarchal nature of the hustle comes into this. Hustling has been built into the way that we do business, the way that we view our relationships, the way that we even come up with ideas and what's considered a good idea versus a bad idea, or like a good result versus a bad result. It's everywhere. So it's almost like this thing of like the Matrix where you have to like actively choose the pill that's going to wake you up, right?
Yes.
To help you like step out of this thing and like actively choose what your next thing is going to be, because we're awash in this
It's so
hustle.
baked in into
It's so
everything.
baked in. It's so baked in, and it's so insidious that way, because it's like it's almost invisible in a way, because it's like, well, there, like, what other way is there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can feel really hard. And I mean, especially if you're talking about, not even especially, but when you're talking about corporate culture, it's like a different kind of hard, versus entrepreneurship is a whole other kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yes, I see somebody saying slavery, child labor, industrialism. Oh my God,
Yes.
the Industrial Revolution, you guys. Oh,
That's
oh,
Maureen. That's
oh
my
my
friend
God.
Maureen.
Ooh, hi, Maureen. It's nice to meet you. But yes, yes, and yes to all of those things. Even just thinking about like the education system, and that because of the Industrial Revolution, it's literally the way that education was built was to keep children, to train kids to be okay, to be still in one place in an enclosed space for a prolonged period of time, so that they could go and work in these dark factories and not have full-on nervous breakdowns, which I it didn't work, because our nervous systems as
Yes.
humans are shot to shit
Not built for
because of
that.
that. They're not built for that at all.
And especially in children.
Especially in children, especially because, I mean, as kids, right, we're learning how to process all of this stuff. And as an adult, you kind of have like a better handle on being able to maybe tell yourself like, okay, one more push before I rest, or having an understanding of how it's going to impact your bottom line or your job performance or whatever. So you have an easier time of kind of justifying it to yourself. But I don't think kids, and I'm not an expert in children in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just thinking about the kids that I interact with, and being a kid myself. You're not thinking about like, oh, what is the consequence of my actions? Or like, you know what I mean? You're just like, oh, I have to do this thing now. It feels weird and gross, and it feels bad, and it's making me sad, and
And
it's making me
adults
feel
have a
bad about
hard time
myself.
with that.
They do. They do. But I think we're at the point where we've like trained ourselves to squash it so much that we're somehow still functional.
Yeah.
Sad, yet
And it takes
functional.
effort and energy to kind of ask questions
It does.
and investigate.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's become that invisible photo that you put on the fridge and you no longer see it anymore, but
Yes.
it's still there. And so, and like you said, it's baked into everything. So it's almost
Yeah.
like you can't just extract hustle culture and, oh, I'm not going to do that. It's in it's like
Everything.
the whole web of stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you think this is kind of manifesting itself in a different way, or maybe not, during the pandemic? You talked a little bit about how, like, in the beginning of the pandemic, we're all like, oh, we're going to do all these things.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of softened into something else. How do you think it's different now that we're in this
It's,
place?
yeah. So I think one thing is that people are sort of waking up to its effects in a whole different way, which I think is amazing. It's painful, but it's good. I think that people are realizing how much of a toll just continuing to push, especially in situations where it's like everybody is doing a lot of emotional labor, which then, you know, it's physically exhausting to be mentally and emotionally drained. And I think there's a new level of understanding of that that's sort of emerging, which I'm glad about. But then there's also this like flip side where, like we talked about, you know, there was this thing where it's like, okay, well, just change direction. First of all, change direction. Keep doing your business and figure out what that new direction is on the fly. And then just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing because you're home all the time now. So what else do you really have to do? And if you're not doing that, you're shamed for it, right? And if you're doing it too much, you're shamed for it, as we're seeing now getting into the holiday season where people are like, this has been a terrible year. If you're not stopping and completely shutting down for 2 weeks, yes,
Yeah.
like you are the worst person on this
How
earth.
dare you?
How dare you? For shame. And I think that the shame piece is I feel like that's how hustle culture controls. It shames you into a corner.
Yeah. It's like the same kind of thing, but manifesting in a different way, like on the
Yeah,
opposite end of the spectrum. But
absolutely.
it's the same strategy.
It's the same strategy. It's
Yeah.
just the execution of it might look a little different, but it's always, always, always somewhere it is meant to make you feel ashamed of yourself and make you feel not good enough the way
Yeah.
that you are.
Which is the basis of hustle culture, I think.
Yes,
You're
yes,
not
yes.
feeling good enough, so you got to do more and more and more
More and
and
more.
be more and do more and
Yes.
all the things
Yeah.
until you
Enough is
die.
never enough. Yeah.
So I think you touched a little bit on this on the video that was so intriguing for me. I think you mentioned the idea of rest as avoidance versus
Oh,
restoration. Talk a little bit about that.
yes. Okay. 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 So okay, rest is necessary. First of all, let me get this out of the way. Rest is necessary. Daily rest and recovery is necessary. The Let me put it in terms of like an exercise program, right? Like you have your days of your workouts, right? And then they say, hey, take a rest day, right? Where you're stretching and you're sort of recovering your muscles and allowing your body to recharge so that you can go back into the next round of working out. But there is also a trap where it's like, okay, one rest day becomes 2 rest days. 2 rest days becomes 2 rest weeks. 2 rest weeks continues into I don't work out anymore, right?
Yeah.
And this is not to say like that, this is not about like people working out or not working out. Do what you need to do for your body, whatever you need to do. But the point is that there is a certain line that gets crossed when it's not the rest is not recharging you, it's starting to drain you again. And I can notice this in times when I'm like doing like a Netflix binge, right? Sometimes it's a beautiful thing and I'm watching like 17 episodes of something in a row. I have my tea, I have my blanket, I'm happy on the couch.
That sounds
And
nice.
right, it's just like cozy and wonderful and I love it. And then there's other times where I'm just watching because it's on and Netflix doesn't have like a stop button.
Are you
and
still watching?
Yes. And then I just like automatically I'm like, yes, because
Yeah.
I am, right?
Right.
But I can feel myself getting groggy. I can feel myself sort of like, I almost feel like I start getting a little bit discombobulated. Like,
It's like that feeling where you slept 10 hours straight
yeah,
and you don't
yes.
feel rested, you feel worse.
You feel where it's the jet lag feeling, right?
Yeah.
Where it's almost like you're outside of your own body.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And that is, I feel like, the rest as avoidance, because it's almost like, let me take on this like groggy, icky, like just bleh feeling instead of doing that thing that's kind of scaring me a little bit right now. And thing number one, I get it because I've done it, right?
Yeah.
And I still do it. There are still times where I'm like, oh, I have to like reach out to this person that I'm like really nervous to talk to. Let me like go over here and like reorganize the bathroom a little bit and like scrub everything
Guilty.
down. Exactly. Yes. So it's like your rest as avoidance. It almost sort of like it just takes the magic out of the rest, right? Rest is there for you to recuperate and for you to recover and for you to recharge and for you to balance those spurts of you having to do the scary things and having to ask a little bit more of yourself, because I do think that entrepreneurship and just achieving your goals in general, it forces you to ask a little bit more of yourself,
Yes.
constantly, constantly, constantly. So I feel like rest is there for you to like balance that thing of like, let me ask more of myself, let me push myself, and then let me come back and give myself a hug and say, really great job, let's take a break, right?
Yes.
It's not there for you to take advantage of when you're feeling scared to do something so that you can avoid it. It makes it
Yes.
icky that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what your self-care looked like during the pandemic, and then I'll do the same for me.
Yes. Okay. So for me, it was like daily movement, good movement, happy movement. So there was a lot of dancing.
Yes.
There was a lot of like, I don't know if you're familiar, I'm sure you are, with the fitness marshal. I love the fitness. Okay. If you guys don't know who the fitness marshal is, check him out. He's amazing. It is the most
On Instagram?
on YouTube and on Instagram.
YouTube.
But yes, he's on YouTube.
Okay.
These amazing dance workouts that are just gonna like make you feel so freaking
I can't wait.
powerful and just like alive. I love his workouts so much. I'm a
Sounds
little
right up
obsessed
my
with-
alley. Oh,
I
see,
see somebody
Karen,
say yes.
Karen knows about it.
Yes, amazing, amazing, all caps, amazing, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And then just like stopping and taking a nap when I felt like I needed to. And it was kind of interesting because I think because of the all of that like mental and emotional labor of processing all the stuff that's been happening this year.
Gymnastics.
The
Mental and
mental
emotional.
gymnastics, yes. Oh my God. It just like, it caused my energy to start fluctuating in really new and weird ways where before I had a really set understanding of like, okay, I have a good chunk of like awake and alert time now, and then a good chunk of alert and awake time later. And that started to fluctuate a little bit, but I kind of allowed myself to just like step back and go and just like lie down. I mean, it sounds really stupid and really simple, but how
It's impactful.
often it's impactful. It
And
really
to give
is.
yourself permission to do that.
That's the thing. Because how often do we sit and stare at our laptops instead?
Yeah.
And
thinking that we're doing something. See, that's the whole hustle culture mentality. Thinking that
there
we're
it
getting
is.
something done just because we're
Yes.
physically there, versus it would be more productive for you to go take that nap
Y'all ain't
than
doing shit.
pretending
Yeah.
to do some busyness
Exactly.
bullshit.
Exactly. And I think it's difficult, like coming from a corporate environment into working for yourself, because that thing of like, somebody's watching me. You know what I mean? Like, if I move from here, they're gonna exactly. Like Big Brother's watching. They're
Yes.
gonna know if I stand up from my desk. They're watching to see like how many bathroom breaks I've taken. But just kind of also like,
Taking notes.
even if you are still working in like a corporate job, just to know that like it is not anybody's business like how many times you get up to pee.
Mind your business.
Mind your business. Mind your business. And like, if they're forcing you to sit there and like be online at all times of the day, like they're hurting their own
Yes.
bottom
Yes.
line by forcing you to do this thing. Like, and when you're an entrepreneur and you are your own boss, and like Maureen just said, you can take a nap when you want, right? You also are going to be hurting your own bottom line if you're just sitting there staring. Like,
It's talking about how your inner boss is treating yourself. And what I call that is the work culture of one.
yes.
And so I am trying to create my work culture of one to be the kind of routine and thing that I want to create for my clients.
Concept. Yeah.
Because I was noticing that I was not doing that.
Yeah.
And so the pandemic kind of put a microscope on that. I wasn't doing it for myself.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the self-care thing for me during the pandemic was, it was kind of like in waves. Like in the beginning, I did that thing that you said, oh, it's like vacation, you know? I have time to do all these projects that were on my back burner to-do list. And, you know, and then I kind of tore through all of those. And then I was like, sitting there, okay,
oh, shoot.
It's not over yet. It's kind of like, you know, when you want to go camping with the family in the backyard for the weekend, but the weekend turns into 6 months and it's not fun anymore.
You guys are still just living in the backyard. Yeah.
So then it was like being, you know, allowing myself, because a lot of shit went down, you know, so allowing myself to process that, because that takes a lot of energy when it's just day after day after day after day,
relentless
stuff going on in the world, and there's no recovery time mentally. And so of course, you know, plus the pandemic, it's like a snowball of stressors. So just getting into my own self and allowing myself to say, hey, you know what? I had plans to do XYZ today. I don't have the mental capacity for that today. I'm not doing anything today. And so it took me a while to get to that place. So let's talk a little bit about, because we talked a little bit about corporate culture and how that differs from us as individuals. And I think you can kind of, depending on where you work, create kind of a mini work culture of one wherever you work, in terms of, you know, I know in jobs that I've had in the past, I made everybody get up. I worked in a production department, so it was a lot of graphic designers and people just sitting in front of the computer all day, every day, not moving. I'm like, all right, people, let's get up, let's take a squat break. And we do like 10 squats.
Amazing.
You know, that's something you can create for yourself in a day. But when we're talking about business leaders and business owners and HR people and department heads and things like that, I think making self-care part of your business plan, not only for yourself, but for your people, for all the reasons we just talked about, is so important. So tell me a little bit about what tips you would have for maybe business leaders to kind of start to turn their backs on hustle culture and towards something else. What would you say to them?
Okay, thing number one is to do an exercise that I like to do with all of my clients, is to have them track their energy over like the span of at least a few days, and to just kind of note, like, it's this time I'm doing this thing and I feel energized, or I feel bleh, or I feel neutral, right? And just to kind of see what the things are. And this isn't like a new concept or anything, but just for you to actually take note of what things are draining you and what times of day are maybe not your best for being alert and available for work.
Yeah.
Because I have like a chunk in the afternoon where I'm just kind of slow. I'm a little bit stupid.
Yeah.
Like
It's the post-lunch
yes,
sleepies. That's what I get.
yes. And I'm not necessarily going to be in a place where like I can have like a super active conversation, or like I'm going to come up with like a really amazing like newsletter or like Instagram caption or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that is not my time. That is not my time to be doing that kind of work. So I actively take myself out of the game. So being able to know when you're like ready to kind of be in the spotlight, and when your energy is there for you to be available to be in your work that way, and when your energy is kind of at a place where you're like, okay, I can get focused work done, but I don't want to talk to anybody. Like I don't want to interact with people. I just want to focus on my work. Or maybe there's a time of day where you're like, I can't work and I don't want to talk to people. I just need to kind of pull back and do something fun,
Rest.
like rest. Yes. Take a nap.
Rest and play.
Rest and play.
Hula
Do some
hoop.
coloring. Yes. Take a walk, whatever, right? So tracking your energy, and then also understanding that nobody is going to rest for you, nor is anybody else going to give you the permission to rest. So, like, another sort of like tricky part of my work is to be able to like let them know that I give them permission to rest, so that they do have, if they need like an outside person to say like, it's okay for you to do this, but also to get them to a place where they can give themselves permission, because I'm not necessarily going to be there every day just holding your hand being like, okay,
Okay,
baby,
time
it's
to
nap
rest.
time. Yeah, exactly.
Let me tuck you in.
Yeah, exactly. And like, as much as I would love to do that for you, but like I can't, and also run a business at the same time. So it's my job to teach people how to do that for themselves. So understanding that you're the one who gives you permission ultimately, to take a break and take a rest, and also understanding how your energy fluctuates throughout any given day, I think are great places to start
Yeah.
with building that into your business plan.
And I think as business leaders, building in taking care of yourself and giving
Yeah.
yourself permission to do all these things, so then you can create that kind of space for
Yeah.
your team. Because it's
Yes.
not about, the team gets to rest and then you still are
You're
operating in
scrambling.
hustle culture mode,
Exactly.
because then it's
Exactly.
not going to work.
Yeah.
You have to walk the talk.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I would love to talk to you for a gazillion more hours, but we're going
Yes,
to wrap
please.
up the half an hour by you telling everybody about the amazing workshop that's coming up, when it
Yes.
is, what it is, how people can
Oh my
register.
God.
I am so excited. I'm like
Okay.
bursting.
Yes. First of all, you guys, Wendy is
You
coming.
guys.
So if you want to come and hang out with her while we're doing this amazing workshop, sign up. The link is in my bio. It is called Set Yourself Up for Success in 2021. And we're going to be talking all about how to set meaningful goals, right? And create like a flexible plan to actually achieve them. I'm going to be co-hosting this thing with my wonderful, amazing biz buddy, Erin Blythe Sanders, E.B.
She's
Sanders.
been on my Instagram Live.
She has.
Yes.
And she is a wonderful career coach for creative types. If you guys don't know about her, check her out on Instagram. She's amazing. And it's going to be next week on Friday. That is the 8th.
It's next week already.
It's next week. Yes. January 8th at 11 a.m. Pacific. So same time
2
as
p.m.
this.
our time. Yes.
There it is. Same time that this Instagram live thing happened.
E.T. phone home.
And you can sign up at the link in my bio.
Yes, link in the bio. I'm so excited. So is it going to be on Zoom?
It's going to be on the Zooms, and it's free. $0. Okay. So,
everyone talking about Zoom fatigue. I like Zoom. Yes, it does drain my energy, but I like seeing people and being able to interact.
Yeah,
and
I like to.
Yeah, I like this.
This thing.
This is what I like.
We couldn't do that if we were not seeing each
That's
other.
right.
We wouldn't know. You'd be like, "What's this? I don't understand."
What is this? So we talked about the Thrive Global article. If you want to go read that, it's called All Hail the Hustle. It's on Thrive. The link to all my Thrive Global articles is in my bio. Go check that out. There's some amazing quotes from Zoha in there, so check it out. If you're coming to this live via Zoha, I am Wendy Conrad, Work Culture Developer, founder of Your Happy Workplace. Zoha, thank you. I know we're going to do this again.
Thank you so much. Yes.
So many other things on my little cheat sheet here that we didn't get to.
We can do it again anytime.
We'll do it next time. And I can't wait to see you in EB next week. So excited.
I love it.
Thanks, everyone, for joining live and those in the replay. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye. George from Mosaic Inc. to talk a little bit more about race in the workplace.